Good morning, greetings, friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your vitality and health and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body. You are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health issue. That's why we're here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 29 years of practicing pharmacy, I've seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, from hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle. But what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is always a healing system, a regenerating system, a renewing system. It's designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that renewing, healing, regenerating system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health or nutrition or prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you. We want to hear from you, 844-236-6010. Do not feel condemned to the medical model. If you're stuck to your drugs or your doctor or your medical strategies, please understand there are alternatives. There are nutritional alternatives. There are healthy alternatives. And we want to help you change your life or help you change the lives of loved ones, workmates, family members today, now, starting right away. Call 844-236-6010. Let's get you on the air, and we'll get you set up on a good nutritional supplement program no matter what your health challenge is, and you can change your life today or change the lives of loved ones, workmates, family members today as well. If you're interested in purchasing any of the longevity products you hear advertised on the program, please call the Brightside Ben phone team, 866-735-2470. That's 866-735-2470. If you want to sign up and join me and my mission to educate the world about the power and importance of a good nutritional supplement program, or if you want to make a little bit extra money or a lot of extra money, or if you just want to get your products at the wholesale price for a one-time $25 fee, you can get set up as a distributor. And they can tell you all about it if you call 866-735-2470, or you go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can sign up right off the website, and you can also sign up to get our weekly newsletter at criticalhealthnews.com, criticalhealthnews.com. And if you want to purchase any of our Truth Treatment products, head over to truthtreatments.com. Make sure you take a special look at our retinol 5% gel. Okay, so we're talking vitamin E, which, like the other fatty vitamins, A and K and D, is actually a family of vitamins. The one we hear about most of the time is called tocopherol. Tocopherol means to bear children, and specifically we hear about one of the tocopherols. There's actually 4 of them. We hear about one of them. This is the main one. This is the one that's found in the greatest abundance in our body. It's called alpha tocopherol. But there's 3 other tocopherols, and there's also a whole nother class of vitamin E called the tocotrienols. And we've talked about that a little bit in the past. The tocotrienols are really fast getting a reputation for being more powerful as antioxidants than the tocopherols. Now, the downside on the tocotrienols is they're not as found as abundantly in nature, so they tend to be more expensive. You kind of have to go out of your way if you really want to go the tocotrienol route. Personally, I use mixed tocopherols and mixed tocotrienols. And you do have to go out of your way, and you have to spend some money. Vitamin E is cheap, but mixed tocopherols, all the alpha, beta, delta, gamma, all the tocopherols, and the tocotrienols, they're not so cheap. So you're going to have to spend a little bit of money, but man, oh man, if you have a cardiovascular health issue, or if you have a brain health issue, or if you have a skin health issue, or if you have a liver health issue, or if you just want to be healthy, man, you really want mixed tocopherols and mixed tocotrienols, in my humble opinion. Now, you're not going to get these from food. There's, of course, they're in foods, but you're not going to get large amounts or the kind of amounts, the kind of dosages you need from foods. And by the way, tocopherols, vitamin E, and tocotrienols are mostly found in veggies, or sometimes they'll be found in animals that eat lots of veggies, specifically fish, which eat lots of plankton and algae. You're not going to find, if you're a meat eater, primarily getting your food from flesh foods, you're not going to find a lot of vitamin E in fleshy foods. It's mostly found in seeds. Nature uses vitamin E to protect seeds, which are loaded with fats. Seeds are probably nature's richest source of concentrated fats, and that's why most of our oils are seed oils. And it's also why the more seed oils you're using, the more tocopherols you want to take, the more vitamin E you want to take. In nature, the oils are found in very tiny amounts, and they're usually a little bit of vitamin E to protect that oil. But what we've done is we've extracted that oil, and now we have these concentrated oils, and we're all ingesting concentrated, dense amount of oils, even in supplements, which means if you want to duplicate nature anyway, you want to be using vitamin E with your oils, with your essential fatty acids, with your supplements. Coconut oil, not so much, because that tends to be stable, but certainly vegetable oils, seed oils, grain oils. Oh my God. If you're eating lots of seed and grain oils, whether it's in a nutritional supplement or not, you want to make sure you're using vitamin E. Now, good, high-quality nutritional supplement companies will include vitamin E when they have when they sell you their oils. But it's still not a bad idea to take extra. So as I say, the most well-known of the vitamin E's is alpha tocopherol. It's the first one that was discovered. It's the predominant form that's found in our blood. But that doesn't mean that you don't need the other ones. That's why you want the mixed tocopherols and mixed tocotrienols. In my humble opinion, it's more expensive to supplement this way. Make no mistake. Tocotrienols are pricey. Mixed tocotrienols are even pricier. Same with mixed tocopherols, but it's worth it. In my opinion, you're not going to get it from food, and the benefits on vitamin E and all the forms of vitamin E there's voluminous articles on every one of the forms of vitamin E. I have a 1,000+ page book here called The Encyclopedia of Vitamin E, and it's got hundreds of papers in it about everything from vitamin E for the heart, to vitamin E for the brain, to vitamin E for liver health, to vitamin E for what's called ischemia, which is cardiovascular or heart issue where heart cells don't get nutrition, for blood thinning, for nitric oxide, which is a major hormone we've talked about, for diabetes, for Parkinson's disease. I mean, it's incredible the benefits you get from this thing, all because vitamin E protects fats. And as we said yesterday, all the cells in the body are wrapped around with a layer of fat. So vitamin E protects every single cell in the body, which means it's going to benefit everything. It's worth it, in my opinion. One of the major biochemicals that vitamin E protects is cholesterol. And if you're concerned about elevated cholesterol, you're eating lots of cholesterol, as important as cholesterol is, you want to make sure you're using your vitamin E. Vitamin E protects cholesterol from going rancid. In fact, rancid cholesterol is really interesting stuff that nobody ever talks about. It's called oxycholesterol. And while nobody's really ever shown definitively that cholesterol is a problem, and when you think about what cholesterol does in the body, I would tell you it's not a problem. It's the most important chemical in the body. Let me just say this as definitively, as clearly as I can. Cholesterol is the most important molecule in your body. Take that to your doctor. Take that to your cardiologist. There is no biomolecule more fundamentally important for growth, repair, living, thinking, moving than cholesterol. None. And I could tell you all the reasons, and I've told you all the reasons about the steroid hormones and about wrapping around, about protecting nerve cells and muscle cells. It doesn't matter. I'm just telling you the bottom line of this whole thing is cholesterol is the most important molecule in your body, that your body makes, that is. Most important homemade endogenous biomolecule. To take a drug that suppresses it is, on the scale of stupidity of dumb medical strategies, if it was a pyramid, at the top of the pyramid, arguably, you'd find the pyramid of medical stupidity, you would find statin drugs, the use of statin drugs long term. And I'll be more specific here when I come back from our break. And I say arguably, because there's a lot of dumb things that the medical model does. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
All right, we are back on The Bright Side. Thank you for joining us. Got open lines, got a full open board for you at 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010. If we don't get any calls, we'll get to some letters here. Dr. Wallach was on George Norrie, I think Sunday night, and after Doc or Dr. Glidden or myself, we go on George Norrie, get all these letters to criticalhealthnews.com. Hopefully some of the coast-to-coast listeners are listening to this program, but even if they're not, some of the letters are interesting. And what I've discovered from being in the health business now for almost 30 years, or if you include being a student for over 30 years, what I've discovered is that there's not a lot of problems that people have. It seems like our problems are so personal to us when we have them, and indeed they are. They're our health challenges. But in the big picture, to a healthcare professional who sees lots and lots of people, there's not a lot of things that break down in the body. And they all have certain things in common. That's really the underlying philosophy that I want everybody to understand if they're dealing with a health challenge, which can be miserable. Underneath all the flavors, if you will, it's ice cream. If you understand that, that's kind of a weird metaphor, but underneath the specifics of our health issues, you got commonalities. And you got one single commonality that is underneath all chronic long-term degenerative disease, which is really what we're talking about on this program. The vast majority of our healthcare challenges, our health misery, is based from a physical perspective, not emotional, mental, and I'm not marginalizing that. That's important too. But from a physical perspective, the vast majority of our health issues are of the chronic, long-term, non-healing, progressively degrading, deteriorating kind, where we just keep breaking down, where our body just keeps dissolving, like the Wicked Witch in the West. I'm melting. That's exactly what happens to us. That's what chronic degenerative disease is. And we'll call it all kinds of names: cancer, diabetes, we'll call it autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis, ankylosing spondylitis, hidradenitis suppurativa, whatever. There's all these weird diagnoses and Latin monikers and descriptions for these things, but underneath all of these health challenges, you can't, if you don't have one of these health challenges, you cannot there's no way to appreciate the misery that these things cause. And if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. But underneath them all, you have the same problem: dirty blood leading to sick cells. Cells that are not being fed, cells that are not being oxygenated, cells that are swimming in their own waste, including sugar. And then the body's protective response. That's it, you guys. Everything. Of all the 100 plus million Americans who are dealing with these kinds of problems, this is what you're going to find underneath it all. And there's not a single drug on the planet. Let me repeat. There is not a single drug on the planet. I'm a pharmacist. I'm a RPH studying these things. And I've studied them for many years, for decades. There isn't a single one that can make a whit's bit of difference in these fundamental breakdowns. Is that bad news? No, it's great news, because it liberates us. It frees us. It makes us independent of the medical model, independent of the worst kind of tyranny there is, which is medical tyranny, which is health tyranny. Yeah, I know about the New World Order, and I know about globalism, and I know about the Illuminati, or at least I've read about all of this stuff. But who cares if you got colon cancer? Who cares if you got heart disease? You know, if you have heart disease and you're having an angina attack, or you're having a heart attack, you think you're going to be thinking about globalism or the New World Order? No, this is the most fundamental place where we are abused, through the medical model. And I'm not blaming doctors, because they're falling for it too. And nothing exemplifies the craziness of the model. The model, folks, not the individuals here. The model, more than the statin promotion of statin drugs and demonization of what I consider to be the most important biomolecule in the body, which is cholesterol. And if you think of another one that's more important, I want to know what it is. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, there are some that are as important. You can't say one is the most important, but it's up there. Right along there with hemoglobin, which carries oxygen. I mean, anyway, there's an interesting relationship between statin drugs and vitamin E, by the way. According to the journal Medical Hypothesis, statin drugs have been shown to lower blood levels of vitamin E, in addition to all the fatty vitamins. This may be the biggest problem of all with statin drugs, is they indiscriminately lower cholesterol. And cholesterol is part of the digestive system. Did you know this? Cholesterol is involved in how we process our foods. Cholesterol is important for the extraction of essential fatty acids and fatty vitamins and fatty nutrients from vegetables. All the good stuff, you know how they say you're supposed to eat vegetables all day and you're supposed to eat lots of veggies and lots of colors. I say it here on this program. And why is that? Well, veggies contain something called phytonutrients. Well, those phytonutrients are extracted out of the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts and the tomatoes and the potatoes and whatever veggies you're eating via the action of cholesterol, a specific kind of cholesterol. You know what it's called? This is a very, very specific kind of cholesterol. It's called bile. B-I-L-E. Yes, bile. Bile is cholesterol. It's a little tweaked version of cholesterol. How do you like that? Add to all the wonderful things that cholesterol does for our brains and for our muscles and as part of the steroid hormone synthesis and part of vitamin D, now you can add digestive support. And if you take your statin drugs, you're not going to be making bile. Oh, is that going to be important? You better believe it's going to be important. Bile, in addition to helping the body extract these things, in addition to helping the body extract vitamin E from foods, which is not even found in foods that much. So you want every little last vitamin E molecule you can get out of your seeds or out of your fish or whatever it is you're eating. So not only does bile help you extract these things, these fatty vitamins and fatty nutrients and phytonutrients, but bile's also detoxifying. It cleans the body. It gets rid of heavy metals. It gets rid of prescription drugs. It gets rid of rancid hormones. It gets rid of anything fatty. Bile gets dumped out into the large intestine and you excrete all these things. Without cholesterol, if you're taking a statin drug, you're not making bile toxins. Toxins will build up. You won't be getting your vitamins, your fatty vitamins. If you're taking a statin drug, your risks of death from nutritional deficiencies and toxicities can't help but increase just using common sense. This is the medical stupidity. This exemplifies what I call medical stupidity. It's because we get deluded by statistics. Statin drugs are supposedly good for us if we have heart disease because they're statistically beneficial. The medical industry wants us to believe that statin drugs are a health tool. Yeah, we know they're cytotoxic, meaning they kill cells. We know they got to be purified by the body's detoxification system in the liver. We know you're using up nutrients to help detoxify the statin drugs, but we also know that statin drugs will reduce your risk of a heart attack by 6.8%. Well, what does that mean? 6.8%. I'm talking here hard facts. Cytotoxic, kills cells. Hard facts. It deprives your body of bile and steroid hormones and vitamin D, all the things that we make from cholesterol. These are hard facts. But then you compare them to this medical idea of, reduces your risks of heart attacks by 6.8% in people who have already had a heart attack on Wednesday. This is the craziness of using statistics. This is for reading from the journal Current Atherosclerosis Reports. We'll come back. I'll finish this up when we come back and get your phone calls as well. 844-236-6010 is our number. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. We are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thank you for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, talking health, common sense health. And you know what? Sometimes you'll hear things on this program that you haven't heard anywhere else before, because we don't have a lot of common sense in the world of health, unfortunately, certainly not in the world of medicine. According to the journal Medical Hypothesis, statin drugs have been shown to lower all levels of all fatty vitamins D, E, A, and K, which makes perfect sense when you figure that cholesterol is needed to make bile. If you take a statin drug, you're not going to make cholesterol and you're not going to make bile. Contrast this with the medical position. Reading from the journal Current Atherosclerosis Reports, Dr. Greg Fonarow from UCLA writes, quote, despite the compelling scientific and clinical trial evidence that lipid-lowering medications, that is statin drugs, reduce mortality in patients after a acute myocardial infarction, that is a heart attack, this life-saving therapy continues to be underutilized, unquote. So, this guy, Dr. Fonero, will tell you that it's a life-saving therapy to be on a drug that kills cells, to be on a drug that stops your body from making cholesterol, to be on a drug that requires purification like a poison. That this is a life-saving strategy. Why? What's the basis of this guy's clinical evidence? His clinical and compelling scientific evidence, as he says? Well, here's an example. This is from an article published by the Center of York Centers for Reviews and Dissemination. This is a statistical study. And this is pretty much sums up the medical position. Statin drugs reduce cardiovascular disease mortality or non-fatal heart attack by 25% with an absolute risk reduction of 3.8%. Statins also reduced all-cause mortality by 16% and congestive heart failure mortality by 23%. Well, what does this mean? What are they talking about? This is how they know that statin drugs work, because it will reduce absolute risk reduction by 3.8%. I defy anybody to tell me what that means. This is why people are getting poisoned on statin drugs, and why guys, nice people probably, like Dr. Fonero, feel like these things are underutilized, because they know that statin drugs will reduce congestive heart failure with an absolute risk reduction of 3.8%. You know, this is the basis for us being poisoned, because they can't tell you that an individual will be better off by taking a statin drug. Because no individual will be better off by taking a statin drug. This is why the three kinds of lies are lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's from Mark Twain, I believe. Lies, damn lies, and statistics, because statistics are lies. For the individual, these statistics only measure large groups of people. The individual isn't going to be better off because he's taking a poison. He can't be better off. But from a statistical perspective, you'll have an absolute risk reduction of 3.8%. I have no clue what that means. It means that you have a non-risk reduction of 96.2%. What's the other 96%? Does anybody understand this? The hardest course I ever took in college was statistics, because I still don't understand it. Despite statistical successes, if they are there, and there's controversy on that too, you cannot under any circumstances say that taking a prescription medication, chronically ingesting a prescription medication over the course of time is good for you. It is not good for you. Never mind the fact that it allows us to be fooled into eating and drinking and living the way we live that caused the heart attack in the first place. Never mind it disguises these basic things. When we understand these basic phenomena that are behind our heart disease and our cardiovascular health problems, we won't need doctors. Elevated cholesterol, heart disease, diabetes, all of these reasons why our heart gives out, these are all lifestyle issues, and they follow dirty blood. And they follow sick cells. Dirty blood, sick cells. That's it, folks, when it comes to chronic long-term degenerative breakdown diseases, which 100 million plus people in this country and hundreds of millions of people around the world confront every day, in contradistinction to the divine mandate of the human body. We are in strict violation of how the human body is supposed to work and how the human body is supposed to run. But that's good news, because it means we can turn this thing around, and we can turn it around quickly, no matter what your health challenge is, because it's in the body's nature to heal, because the body's a healing system. Whatever your health challenge is, you can begin to turn it around by picking up the phone and calling 844-236-6010 right now and getting on the air, and we'll help you out. All right. Let's go to Irene in San Diego. Welcome to the bright side. What's going on, Irene?
Hi, yes, I am taking the Tangy Tangerine, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the minerals, and I want to get some EFAs, but I can't take pills.
You can do, well, a couple things you could do. First of all, if you're using the longevity products and you want to use the Ultimate EFAs, the EFA Plus, stick a little pin in there and squeeze it in your smoothie.
Okay.
Or mix it in with a little apple cider vinegar and make yourself a salad. So that's one way to do it. And then if it's harder to do it that way, and you're going to leave some oil in the gel cap, it's not the most efficient way to do it. You can also get liquid oils. I like Udo's blend. That's my favorite. And Udo is the go-to researcher and scientist when it comes to essential fatty acids, and he's a friend of mine, and I know Udo, so I trust him and his product. Udo's blend, and there's different varieties. I like the high lignin Udo's blend. So you can either stick a pin in the gel cap, or you can go buy liquid oil. And you know what else? For folks who can't take capsules, an old pharmacy trick is to mix it in applesauce, and the capsule will slide down your throat with the applesauce. That's good for kids too.
Okay, good.
Does that help?
It does. And then I have kind of a weird question. I know Dr. Wallach doesn't agree with eating oil, right?
Yes, Dr. Wallach says no oils.
Okay, so what's the deal with the EFAs then? Or is that?
Well, the EFAs are protected in the gel cap. I don't necessarily, I'm not personally, I don't have that same opinion. Oils, I say be careful with oils. Doc says avoid them entirely. Now, you'll have to make your own decision on that. And I don't know, I agree with Doc most of the time, but on this one I don't, because I find oils too valuable. And I've seen the results of especially on the skin. I've seen results from people who start supplementing with oils. And I know in my own personal life, I've supplemented with oils, and I know the difference. So I have a different opinion than Doc, but nonetheless, his point is well taken in the sense that you have to be careful with oils because of their tendency to go rancid and become unstable.
Right.
Vitamin E is protective against that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good deal. Have a great day. Thanks,
You too.
Irene, for calling. Okay, let's move on to Glenn in PA. What is up, Glenn? Where are you in Pennsylvania?
How are you?
Hey, Glenn. Where in Pennsylvania are you?
Northern suburbs of Philadelphia.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. What's going on?
Where it's a whole 10 degrees this morning. We went from ridiculously warm weather to single digits.
I heard it was 70 degrees for Christmas or something.
Yeah, but it's been like that, and then it just dropped like a rock.
Oh, no kidding. Well, I don't feel sorry for you one little bit, Glenn, in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We haven't had it's been getting warm here, but it's been a cold Colorado winter. What's going on, man? How can we help you?
It just dawned on me. I have a more important molecule for you.
Which one?
H2O, or even O2.
I mean one that the body makes. Yes, obviously H2O is probably more important, but one that the body makes.
I'd like to hold, if I may.
Yes, please hold, Glenn, and thanks for bringing that up. Yes, indeed, H2O is more important than cholesterol. But for a biomolecule, if anybody out there has a more important one, I want to know what that is. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side. Glenn in PA, Philadelphia, PA. What's going on, my man?
All right, Ben, here's the lineup. Here's the pitch. You can knock it out of the park for me. I'm a 55-year-old RN who has an 87-year-old father, is about 14 years post-op for quad bypass, and is still on lovastatin. He's also on an anti-Parkinsonian now because he's starting to get Parkinson's. He's still ambulatory, alert-oriented, active, productive in driving, but he's not going to remain that way if this keeps up. What do I do?
Here's and I've talked to you before. Have you and I talked before?
No, several times, yeah.
Several times. Okay, here's the deal, Glenn. And I appreciate your medical knowledge and also being an RN. RNs are awesome human beings, and I'm really grateful for the work you do. I've been in hospitals as a patient, as a pharmacist, and RNs are awesome. So, thank you for that. Here's the deal, Glenn. As far as your dad goes, and everybody out there listening with a dad who's got heart problems and who's on medication, and you want to keep your dad around for a long period of time, or a friend or mother or whatever, here's the thing, or child or kid. Here's the thing, Glenn, and I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm going to be completely blunt. MYOB, mind your own business. You follow me, buddy? Glenn,
okay.
I know he's your dad, and he could be your kid. We have to mind our own business. Health is helping people with their health is personal. They have to want it. The last thing anybody wants to do is have somebody intrude in their lives when they don't want help. You follow me? And so
I'm not saying he's resistant. He's very receptive.
Okay, then if he's receptive, that's awesome. Get him on liquid nutrition right away. That's a great. If he's receptive, that's awesome, Glenn. I thought you meant he wasn't receptive and you were trying to convince him.
Oh, No. I
Good.
don't know. It's just that
That's awesome.
He and my brother were concerned about the statin and
Here's okay. Let's put that aside for now. Right away, get him on liquid nutrition. Anybody, and this is true for any older person, or anybody really, but especially older people who are on prescription drugs, who are convalescing, who are in a nursing home or hospice situation or whatever, liquid nutrition. That way you bypass any problems with the digestive system, which they're always there for everybody, but especially as we get older. That means bone soup for liquid protein, plus the liquid polysaccharides. Make homemade bone soup or find somebody who does. And then, if you don't cook, you can still find homemade bone soup in restaurants, and there are places where you can get it. So homemade bone soup, ideally, organic and hormone-free, and then the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and veggie juices. You want him doing as much of his nutrition in liquid fashion as possible. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing is you want to start to support digestive health. Okay? I'm going to give you these in order of importance. Liquid nutrition, number one. Secondly, digestive health. And that means probiotics and fermented foods. The veggie juices will also help. And caloric restriction. I can't say that enough. Caloric restriction. Calories represent work. But it's calorie restriction with optimum nutrition, the Cron diet. So you're making sure he's nutriated. You want to have as much nutritional bang for your buck, for your caloric buck. That's what a whole food is, and that's what a nutrient-dense food is. It gives you a lot of nutritional bang for your caloric buck, if that makes sense, if you know what I'm saying here. More nutrients, less calories. Calories are the enemy. Nutrients are the friend. So that means micronutrients, and in addition to protein, fats, and essential fats. You don't necessarily need to worry about the carbs. They're pretty much everywhere. And then the last thing, and I don't want to say the last thing because there's more, but the last thing I want to tell you right now is stabilize the blood sugar. Keep his blood sugar stable. Now, it would also help him when you're doing the digestive stuff if you could support bile, because his drugs are being excreted in the bile. So anything you could do to support bile synthesis is going to be helpful. Of course, the statin drugs are going to, you're going to be working against that a little bit, but helping with maybe taking bile salts, or maybe taking bile precursors like taurine or glycine, or using something called stomach bitters before his meal, or even bitter foods like parsley to stimulate bile secretion. Anything you do to stimulate bile is going to be helpful. Now, there's many other things to do, but between those strategies, liquid nutrition, caloric restriction, and working on digestive health with probiotics and fermented foods and such, stabilizing blood sugar and stimulating bile synthesis, you're going to go a long way towards adding years to his life. And by the way, everybody on a statin drug needs to be using coenzyme Q10. So if he's not using CoQ10, get him on it right away. Probably 100 milligrams a day.
I'm taking it. I don't know if I haven't persuaded my parents to do that.
Get him on it.
I don't. Yeah.
Get him on it. And ubiquinol, I'd be using the deluxe version, which is ubiquinol.
But
as opposed to ubiquinone. Yeah. Hey, I got some calls I want to get to, Glenn. Thanks for your call, buddy. Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Happy New Year to you. Bill in Texas, welcome to the bright side. Big Bill, what's up, man? Do we have Bill in Texas? Bill?
Hey, I just wanted to get your opinion on metformin. I figured you probably heard about it in the news lately, and
you know what it's in the news for? I had an article here. I was going to read it today, actually. Metformin is now being used as a general anti-aging strategy. Even Life Extension Strategies, Life Extension magazine recommends metformin as an anti-aging strategy. I'm not buying it, and this is one of the problems I have with Life Extension, by the way, although I do read it every month, and they do have some good stuff there. This is an article I was going to read today, actually, from the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. New study indicates that metformin has the potential to prevent and treat something called preeclampsia, which is a condition that affects pregnant women. This is more of the idea that you can use drugs to get better. Not true. Lie. We talked about it via the statin drugs. I'm telling you this via metformin. Now, if you are a diabetic and you refuse to eat correctly, well, yeah, maybe you need the metformin to force your body to make more insulin, to force your body to handle sugar better. But nonetheless, the fact remains that it is that means cell, toxic to cells, and in the long run, it gets treated as a poison by your body, and that means all the poison control resources, including nutrients and bile, are going to be stressed out by every dose of metformin you take. How anybody in their right mind can think this is a good thing, I don't know, unless they've bought the medical model hook, line, and sinker. That's my take on metformin. Now, have you heard something about metformin in addition to that? That it's aside from anti-aging or aside from preeclampsia?
No, that's my.
That's what you had heard.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's
I know
making the news.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing actual human trials in 2017.
Yes. Why would that be, Bill? I don't know if you've listened to this program before or a lot, but based on everything you've heard today, or if you've listened to the program in the past, what's the logic to using an anti-diabetic drug to increase longevity? What do you think that would be about?
Right. So, I mean, even on some of the previous shows, you've talked about, insulin resistance.
Yes.
And so
exactly.
And it ties back to that, the Alzheimer's and all these other.
Exactly. So, what they're telling you is, in their own misguided way, what they're telling you is that sugar is the enemy. And that insulin control you have to have good insulin control if you're going to live a long life. But then they switch it over in typical misdirection magician style into metformin. You see what I'm saying? They take you down the road. Oh, yeah, sugar's a problem, insulin's a problem. Then they switch you into metformin. Not, let's use B vitamins, let's use thiamine, which is deficient in the standard American diet. Let's use chromium, let's use vanadium, let's use magnesium, let's not eat so much sugar. Let's eat more protein and coconut oil, let's go ketogenic, let's go paleo. They don't say that. They say go to metformin. See what I'm saying?
Right. And so the whole thing started, they did the worm and rat studies, but then there's the anecdotal, and this goes back to statistics, right? But they say that anecdotally, the folks with diabetes are living almost normal lifespans where they shouldn't be, right? Which is prompted in the human studies. So, so where can I find resources on information about the cytotoxicity? Because
just go to any toxicology journal or toxicology encyclopedia, where they list specific toxins, and you'll find every drug you'll find in the toxicology book, because the drugs are toxins. The flip side of pharmacology is toxicology. They're measured by something called an LD50. Have you ever heard of that? The LD50?
Yeah. Yes.
For the listener, are you in the business at all? You sound kind of knowledgeable there.
No, I'm an engineer, but
okay, good.
I read a lot. Right.
Okay, good. You sound like a smart guy. The LD50 stands for the lethal dose 50, and it's the way drugs are measured, whether they're going to be allowed or not. It has to have a low LD50. The LD50 is the amount of drug you take to kill 50% of an animal population. So they'll take 20 rats, and the amount of metformin it takes to kill 10 rats is called the LD50 dose. And the LD50 dose, all drugs have to have a low LD50 dose. But the fact that they have an LD50 dose tells you all you need to know about cytotoxicity. Are you there, Bill?
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I mean, even water has an LD50.
Well, yes, but it's the LD50 on water is ridiculously high. The LD50 on drugs are tiny. They're in the milligrams and the grams.
Yeah.
You're
right.
talking. So yes, you're right. Everything has an LD50. The question is, the LD50 on these things are so tiny. Anyway, Bill, thanks for your call. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate smart listeners. Thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, long-term listener, man. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Bill. Take care, buddy. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening, friends, and have yourselves a wonderful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.